Welcome, GTS retail partners, to another vendor spotlight. I'm your host, Scott Boer, and today we're going to be taking a look at the world of Tanares, RPGs, and board games coming to us from Dragori Games. We're joined by James Window and Michael Alves from Dragori Games to talk about this world and how it interrelates between the board games and RPGs, and how the games are different and how they're linked together as well. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and hand things over to James.
All right. Thanks you, Scott, and really appreciate having us on here to talk about our games. Um, hey, everyone. So I am James. I am the community and retail manager for Dragori Games. Like Scott mentioned earlier, I also have our lead game designer here, Michael Alves here, and he's going to be kind of helping me out as we talk about the products that you guys are going to see here. So let's talk about this beauty right here. This is Tanares RPG for 5e. This is a 5th edition compatible product in your RPG lineup here. So let me quickly share my screen and then we'll get back to these books here in a second. All right, well, this is it, everyone. So Tanares RPG for 5e product here from Dragori Games. So we have a 3-book set here for everything that you will need in the world of Tanares. We have the Player's Guide book here, which is a book kind of filled with a ton of new information on new classes. So we have we have 4 new classes coming to the world of Tanares: the Dragon Blade, the Redeemer, the Elementalist, and the Madwalker, along with 4 simplified classes. This is a way for you to be able to maybe bring in that player that doesn't play a lot of RPGs and they don't want to deal with a lot of that character customization. This is a way for them to be able to get playing with you, but not have as much options and things to do and kind of get them playing the game. Additionally, we have 27 new subclasses, and that's a mix between our new Tanares unique classes and then the existing 5e classes. We have new backgrounds, feats, flying mount rules, teams, and arena combat. So there is a lot in that book. I'll show here in a second once we get through this. Next up is the campaign source book. The campaign source book is basically your DM's guide to the world. It's going to tell you about locations of the world. It's going to give you lots of new monsters, magic items. It's going to tell you all about the gods and the ungods in the world of Tanares. And then all about the different governments, organizations, cultures, and history. This thing is just filled to the brim with a ton about that world, just bringing you fully immersed into the world of Tanares. And then lastly, we have the Adventures in the Realms of Madness adventure book. This book here is over 300 pages. It's, of course, fitting in our world of high fantasy, along with some mystery and eldritch horror, and kind of giving you those vibes as you battle against some pretty unknown forces as you kind of work your way as the player. This adventure book goes from level 3, ending at level 12. So it is, I believe, an 8-chapter book. So it is a massive book there and basically complete adventure there. So all you need is just, your players and your DM, and away you go. Then lastly, this set also comes with this thing's packed with even more. You have a GM screen there with beautiful art that I'm going to show you guys here in a second. Along with a world map and city map of the largest city in the world of Tanares, which is the capital. And you're gonna basically, we have even down to like the street level, everything laid out so you can build whatever kind of adventure you're looking for. in the world of Tanares. So the MSRP that we have for this, individual books are $49.99. The set is priced at $139.99. And if you would just like maybe some of the individual maps and screens on their own, you can get that as well at $29.99. Get into this, quick note. So if you saw the presentation part there, this is a version that a slightly different version we had for our Kickstarter backers because we are a crowd-funded company. So the retail version is just like this though, with kind of like a black casing instead of like this white casing. So this is a little bit different, but still all the same great content you guys are going to see here. All right, so let's start here with the player's guide. This all of these books are jam-packed with tons and tons of artwork. I think honestly, that's one of my favorite things about our products, especially these RPG books, is like pretty much every page you're getting has artwork on it. So, you know, it's not just going to be, you know, section after section. Now, I will say the spells list here is pretty extensive, right, Michael? I don't know how many did
Yes.
we end up developing? Look at this guy, he's
Now,
my favorite.
there's hundreds of spells because there is new spellcasting classes and also spells for the old D&D 5e classes. So there is a lot of content.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, Elementalist there is just tons and tons of spells, all brand new ones there. So anyway, hopefully this kind of giving you a quick look here at the book. A lot of this is going over like the different subclasses.
Yes,
Um,
there is a subclass for each class in the game. There is even, in fact, more than one for some of the classes. So there is content for all sort of players using the 5e material.
and
And
I
there is
actually,
also
well, I was going to say, I actually forgot to bring up that there's also 4 unique races in the world of Tanares. So we have the Curus here, which maybe you can kind of talk to that as I flip the pages, Michael.
yes, the interesting thing about the cases that we produced is that each one has also deep mechanical impacts. Uh, most races often has like way less interest for players because they change too little of your character, and we work it to give races that are both balanced and will greatly interest players, and we believe this is a novelty that will bring people to enjoy the book.
Yeah. The next
We have
one,
this.
yeah, the Gloomfolk.
Yes, the Gloomfolk, for example, has its own venom and its own mechanics of creating different venoms and poisons. So there is that. There is the Sihus, for example, that was before this one, that even has 2 character sheets because he has like double personality.
Yeah.
And there is also more simple and more complex races and classes on the entire book. We work it to give people that are more hardcore players and more people that enjoy like a more easy to understand game, both content that are interesting. Like for example, the Soulborns, that also one of the races that are tied to the lore of Tanares. So there is also a lot of lore, deep and interesting things for players to discover about the world and how the races fit into it. Or the Taimaku that is brings a bit of magical technology to the world in a way that we believe people will enjoy a lot. They are desert people with like different magical mechanisms. So you can see the book has like depth for all kind of players.
Yeah, so that's just the player's guide, and I didn't even get to all of the things in the back, but I just like looking at just some of these art. It's just crazy. All right, let's jump next to the campaign source book. Like I said, this is your book that's going to tell you all about the world of Tanares. I also don't know if I mentioned this, but these books were developed in coordination with some of these RPG legends, including Ed Greenwood. So they all provided little aspects to different parts of the book. For example, Ed Greenwood developed a unique character, kind of I believe he's like a villain character,
Yes,
right,
he's one
Michael?
of the major villains of the campaign setting, Violent. It was
Yes.
developed by Ed Greenwood. It was an honor to work with him.
Yeah. So, and we have, plenty of other creators from the RPG world there. But anyway, as you can see, this is one of my favorite. This is the penumbral plane here, which is kind of like this um, type of overworld that basically exists over Tanares. So there's different levels within the
You can
penumbral plane. Yeah, go
It's
ahead.
interesting because you can explain this for your consumers in two ways, in two levels. For new RPG players, you can look, oh, it's like Stranger Things. You enter in this other world that there is this aberration things. But if you are talking with a player that knows a lot about D&D, it's a plane with many layers, and there is like all the planar traits and everything that the best planes in Planescape has and had in the past. But you can like have these two ways of talking with different people. That's, I said before, that was a great focus for us, like having something easy to understand and simple for newcomers, and profound and interesting for hardcore.
Yeah.
Like now James is showing the regions, and uh, you see that each region has like one of the key features of this book that makes it different from anything else on 50th edition is that we worked very hard to make like useful content on each part of the book. Like there is lore, the lore is important, but everything, each NPC, for example, this is a page of NPCs, each NPC, each lore paragraph has something useful for the DM. So there is nothing you read and like it's just story. Like story is important, lore is important, but everything is like has a way to be present in game, to be used in game. So the book was constructed this way on each paragraph to make it like easy to enter, easy to understand, and packed full of useful content for DMs and players to use.
Let's try to jump
Right.
here to the monsters page.
Yeah, if I could bounce in here, just a couple of
Sure.
questions real quick on the world of Tanares. Is there any difficulty bringing in some of the more classic D&D 5e type races like elves, dwarves, goblins? Do they all have a place within the world of Tanares as well?
Yeah.
And all you can see by the illustrations that elves has their own realm, dwarves has their own realm, and everything that's classic fantasy is on Tanares. Tanares is a high fantasy setting. It has the penumbral plane. There's this eldritch vibe to it too, but you can play a campaign of Tanares without ever encountering an eldritch creature. You can have adventures all focused on killing dragons. There is like trolls, orcs. There is regions, for example, the Republic of Freelance has a lot of problems with monsters because it's a land that was not really conquered by humans and other humanoid species. So there is now a like exploration of this new region that's being populated, and there is a lot of monsters and need for adventures. So you can play like the simple dungeon crawl. Oh, let's go together and save this village from these goblins. Or
Mhm.
you can play like some um, into the penumbral plane, eldritch, extraplanar
Yeah, battling these guys.
adventure, or a deep political game. So one of the things that are important on Tanares is that the Cold War between many factions. You can see on the book there is also different factions such as the Kemet that's on the
Oh,
screen
this guy.
now. He's showing the Kemet is one of the factions. There's the Republic of Freelance that I just said. There's the Empire and the Kemet and the
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 Capesh.
Kepesh. the Capash that he's showing now. It's another realm, and these realms are all unlocked on a cold war instigated by these penumbral creatures that are manipulating the humanoids, the people to their machinations, and uh, so there is like many layers of different styles of game that you can play on Tanares.
Great.
Yeah. So that is the campaign source book. Just yeah, like I said, we didn't even get to all of it, but it is filled with a lot of content in there. And then the last one here,
Would you,
and real
would you, James, would you say that the campaign source book is roughly equivalent to like a dungeon master's guide where it's got all the lore and the kind of the setting information as well as looks like a
exactly.
B theory?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
That's exactly the way I believe this was all designed. And the player's guide is similar also to the player's handbook.
Sure.
Now,
And the
of
source
course.
book, the source
Oh, go
book
ahead.
also has our bestiary, so you will find everything your DM needs, like
Yeah.
lore, regions, rules, and about Tanares and monsters,
Yeah. So
unique
it's kind of like the
monsters.
monster book is included in there. And then we have the adventure here in the realms of madness. Personally, I try not to show too much of this just because in case anyone were seeing this, that wouldn't spoil too much for them. But maybe Michael, you spent a lot of time developing this, and you can kind of talk about how the design of the adventure was created.
Uh, this adventure was created on the idea of creating a truly iconic villain, like inspired in other great iconic villains of past Dungeons and Dragons adventures, like Strahd from Heavenloft and other iconic villains. So it has a mad dragon, a penumbral dragon, and dragon of that penumbral plane, and he has a way to bring one of the ungods into the world, and he's doing his plan to do that. But like I said, it's a cold war, so the game starts with his plan to throw one faction against the other on a political fight, and the players are caught in the middle of this situation, and they must do something to help save this world. So it's like a thrilling adventure that begins with a murder investigation, and there is this mystery, and then it progresses as this major villain that's like kind of a Joker kind of villain, like because he's completely insane, and he's like doing his plan and toying and playing with the characters, like trying to get on their nerves and manipulate them. And this story goes from like a simple murder investigation and develops in what you exploring cities and exploring dungeons and facing cultists, and then entering at the end in the penumbral plane to stop his plan. But the thing I like the most, and was the thing I believe will catch the players and consumers' attention the most, this is one of the dungeons, for example, is a very interesting dungeon, is the fact that this adventure is open-ended and gives a lot of material for the DM to do what they want to do with the adventure. Like, for example, there is an entire chapter about the capital city of the empire, where you have all the regions and many side quests and different ways for the players to approach. So everything is done in a way that the players can take many different routes to reach the ending of the adventure, and there is no railroading. There is like a lot of open paths that they can interpret and use as they prefer.
Well, given that amount of openness in the adventure module, roughly how many sessions do you think that the adventure module would cover? How much content is there?
You go from level 3 to 11, so there's a lot of content. It's a
Yeah.
big adventure that was developed to be like slice it if the DM wishes. There's pages that tells you how you can like grab any chapter of this adventure and transform in a part of your home campaign and remove from this adventure and use otherwise. and there is um, ways for you to like change the setting and play this adventure on other setting. We took that because we went to create something like that was a huge adventure spanning for like about 24 to 30 sections, so it's huge, but also that could be useful for someone that like went to play like uh one shot or a short story, because you can get any of the chapters and it instructs to you how you can like play it as a smaller content, or can remove that context and place on your adventure in a different way.
So not only do you have a massive campaign, you have a resource for a number of different one-shot adventures that you can insert into a campaign, or just do as a one-off um,
Yes,
for
it
for your
has.
game night.
Yes, the each chapter there is at the start of the book uh how you should, how you can pick any of the chapters and run it separately from the entire adventure. So the all the entire adventure book is useful for you, even if you want to play a smaller campaign or use it on your home campaign in a completely different way.
Great, excellent.
There's a ton of use in this book. So that is the three major books there. Let's jump into these other little delicious bits here. And real quick note, this is I always like this, that there's this like extra little detail in there that looks like a little dungeon with you know, gold and stuff scattered around, but nice detail. And that is in the retail version as well. So this is your GM screen, just to kind of show the art real quick.
Great. And just to clarify, on the book covers and the content within the book, that is the same whether they have the Kickstarter edition that you've got there or
Yes.
the retail edition that's coming. I believe it's in July is what we're looking at for that release.
Yeah. So exactly the same content. The only difference is the outside of the case looks different.
Okay.
Yep. But anyway, you got lots of information here. Now, it may not come very well through a webcam, but I believe this is kind of the pretty standard things, right? Where, you know, like actions in combat, temporary hit points, conditions, things about, you know, food, lodging. But there is some information that's specific to the world of Tanares. For example, the celestial domain. So there's information about Tamara's Light and Baron's Vigil, which is one of the two of the gods that exist in the world of Tanares. And then there's even things about the planar traits. So there, let me just, you know, I'm saying this because it's actually contains information specific to the world of Tanares, and it's not just another standard DM screen.
Yeah, that's great. Always
All
better
right.
usable content.
Yeah. And then let's look here. So now you get a full poster map that comes in this thing. Double-sided. This is the world map. It's so big, it's barely even fitting on my screen here.
These have all regions, like each region on this map there is has its own section on the source book. Many of the locations, like the small text that is on this map, also has descriptions and um, things that are unique to them and situations, and every one of them that are on the book has plot hooks, useful plot hooks. So there is a lot of content related to this map. And if you look at the other side, is the Imperial Capital. There is a section for it on the source book, but also it's one of the chapters of the adventure I just told you. And on this map, every single place that's written, there is an entry on the adventure saying what you can find there. And each of these districts has its own thing, its own situation, its own plot hooks, like something happening on each of these places that players can solve or choose not to solve, and engage or not to engage, and there is consequences, and there is just a lot of content that you can explore in the city.
Yeah, so you can tell this is a big map.
And what are some of the aspects of the world of Tanares that makes it unique in the 5e setting or the 5e universe?
One of the core things on Tanares is that wars are not allowed because wars and the death of many in a single event may cause a Moroccan curse, and that's an event triggered by the ungods because the wars, the mass murdering, strengthens them and brings the penumbral plane close to the material plane. So wars end up causing cataclysms. So that's why the world is in a cold war, because the different regions can never fight like on a huge open battle. The last time it happened, the world almost got destroyed. So this is one of the big things. Like heroes are extremely important because they can be great spies on this Cold War. They can be important heroes to deal with powerful foes. They can
And
be, there is assassination. There is like the power of the few individuals are much more prominent on this world, where things were solved by arena battle in the past, and
and that's
now
a great leadway here to specifically arena the contest, because like you said, in the world of Tanares RPG, a lot of the conflicts have to be resolved in the world of or in an arena. So like Michael said, right, you have all of these heroes that if you can see on my screen, um, that you can use to play. So this product that you guys are looking at is Arena the Contest. It is one of our board game products that we also offer. This is in the same world of Tanaris, so your same high fantasy world, but now you have board game components. So you have hero cards, you have well, and let me talk about the different modes first. So one is there is two major modes in the game. There is player versus player, where you have two teams of heroes that are battling each other. And like Michael said, this is basically exactly like what was described from like the RPG. You're settling some, dispute. Maybe it's a land dispute or something. But you'll have two different teams, or you can have 3 or 4 heroes on a team, and they battle it out against each other. There is 8. I believe in this version there is 6 classes that you can play. So there is a lot of options because you have 2 heroes within the each class. And each hero is very unique, even though they do fit like within a class. So your healer Talia is very different from your healer Tarum. So not all of them have the standard abilities of just like resurrection and just healing. There's things where like Talia can provide like the shield of flowers, which basically prevents like an attack from hitting one of your heroes. So there's a cool aspect in that where you're going to use your abilities to kind of defeat the other player and player versus player. But we also offer a campaign mode to the game. So this is a very, set type of linear well, let me say this. It's a branching campaign where there's 15 different quests. So you have you're going to pick 4 heroes to start that quest, and then you kind of follow this story. You have campaign cards which allow you to make decisions that will change which quests you end up playing and what kind of story unfolds. So in between Tanaris RPG and this product and the next one I'm about to show, is there is so much crossover between not just the world, but the hero characters that you see on the screen here. A lot of them show up in the world of Tanaris RPG. And then there's just so many RPG elements that we threw into the design of this game. So we even have a lot of fun puzzles that can happen between the quests and the stories. So it's not just like reading the campaign book. Sometimes they're little fun logic puzzles. Sometimes there's like mazes. There's a lot of different things in there. So this is Arena the Contest. It's MSRP at 99 and 99 cents there. And we have one other board game product, which is Tanares Adventures Ultimate, the standee edition here. So basically think arena, but now instead of the focus being on, having a player versus player and a small campaign, now you have a massive campaign world. So this is a cooperative dungeon crawler with strategic combat for 1 to 4 players. Yes, so it does have a solo mode that if you can't find other people to play with, we have ways for you to play. So there's 90 plus unique quests. There's over 200 hours of gameplay that you're going to get in here. As you can tell from that section we did on the RPG, we pack our products with tons and tons of content. So you're really getting your value out of what you're getting here. There's unique hero attacks. There's role-based attacks, which are unique based on the skills. There's a lot of cool combinations you can kind of get as you build your RPG, or your team of characters is very RPG-like, where you have different skills and items and heroes and their hero abilities that you can kind of pair up, and teams you can build. And then, like I said, there is those solo friendly rules and ways to make the game a lot simpler to play, even if you don't have a full party of people. I'd say one of the most unique components of Tanares Adventures Ultimate is we have a way to keep everyone engaged. So let's say, you do have someone, or even by yourself, you can always be doing something even when it's not somebody else's turn. So you have that friend that's going to, decide which card he's going to play. Well, you can play things on his turn, or even during the enemy's turn. So there's kind of this like puzzle-like combat where you're trying to position your heroes, use your abilities in combination together to defeat the villains. Like I said, so tons of unique dungeons that you're going to be crawling through, and battling against a lot of different monsters and villain characters. So you can see like the standee in there of the Asmore, the red dragon. So this is the standee version. There's not miniatures in this version. In Arena of the Contest, there is miniatures in this box, but the standee version, we wanted to kind of have a more, retailer focused product that kind of brings down the cost for you guys, make it more economical for the consumer. And this is Tanares Adventures Ultimate Standee, and that MSRP's at $139.99.
Great. And between these two games, or actually all three, I guess. Well, no, let's stick with the two board games.
Sure.
The Tanares Adventures Ultimate Edition, as well as the Arena game, are they similar mechanically? If you get one, do you have kind of a leg up in understanding how to play the other one, or are they very different systems?
You want to answer that one, Michael? You want me to do it?
Yes, no, I can. Tanaris Adventures was an expansion for Arena originally, but then we made this standalone version that became Tanaris Ultimate. It has like many of the rules of Arena are there, but there are parts of the rule that were changed and that were created anew, like the skill trees that you can allow you to act outside of your turn. And so these are components focused on Tenaris. So while you use many of what you learned if you played Arena before, you will need to learn new things for Tenaris, as monsters works a bit differently, and there is some learning to do, but it's essentially the same system, but upgraded and revised to make it like, because Arena was like a campaign, a small campaign, and one focused on uh, PvP, having a good PvP, and Tanaris Adventures, like as it was not tied to PvP, it could go focus its mechanics more on the PvE side and has more progression, character progression, items, city phase. Like you have a city administration phase where you improve the different structures of your city and get better loot and learn new attacks. So there is a lot more character progression and building possible on Ultimates, Tanares Ultimates, than an Arena that's a shorter campaign and more focused on telling that small story, while
Yeah.
Tanares like is a huge story.
Okay.
Yeah, and especially, they're intended to kind of, fit different demographics, right? Too,
Yes.
where Arena the Contest is in some ways a lot simpler, right? You're just I won't say it's simple, right? For anybody that's never played a board game, it may be a little much for them starting out, but it's not too bad. Basically, you're just you pick an attack, you roll a d20. If that meets or beats the value of the defense of the bad guy, then you do your damage and the effect. But Arena is intended to be a lot, more simpler, easier to kind of get into. But if you really love, really being immersed in that world, in the board game, and the customization of your team and those other RPG elements, Tanares Adventures Ultimate is really where you're going to be at, right? Because you have a lot more strategic combat that occurs depending on like what villains you're attacking, the order, and your positioning is significantly more important. So there is a lot of crossover. But I'd say Tanares Adventures Ultimate, is like the next step up in, like a gamer's complexity level.
Yeah, to
Okay.
give people a comparison, I believe Tanares Ultimate is more close to target audience for Gloomhaven and other like more dense
Sorry.
uh, dungeon crawlers, while Arena is more on the target of games like
I think
um,
Hero Quest is one of the ones I
Hero
usually bring
Quest,
up.
Mice and Mystics, but a bit more high fantasy, so it gets the average public very well.
And you don't need just for the comparison, you don't need a GM or anything. It's all in the books. So
Yes.
yeah.
Okay. And for as far as the miniatures that are in Arena the Contest, because it does have the actual sculpted miniatures, which I don't I've seen in person and as well as on some other presentations that you've had. They look fantastic. So is there portability between Arena the Contest and the board game and the adventure board game in terms of using the miniatures? If you have miniatures that are of the same characters, or is there a is there a utility of bringing the monsters over, that kind of thing between the two games?
So in terms of the miniatures for Arena, if you had like the ultimate standee version here,
Mhm.
right, you'd have those characters. Now there is some components that do overlap between like what heroes there are. So you would have like a few cards that were the same, but I think there's even more hero characters in the standee version. So you're going to have a lot more. You just wouldn't have the miniatures, but we do have miniature packs that we're, selling on our web store. Just because, right, trying to keep it as condensed as possible for retailers.
Sure.
But that, people could purchase some of those if they were, really wanting to get the miniatures. But the intent is kind of to, you may not necessarily have the same type of person that wants to get both. They could if they want, but it's kind of targeting different demographics, right?
But
Um,
if they can use
but
all
yeah,
miniatures on Arena can and are present on Tanaris, so they
yes,
can use every content, every miniature on Arena can be used
correct.
on
Yeah.
Tanaris because these characters are there and the enemies too.
Yep.
Okay. And then those same miniatures could also be used for the RPG game with the
Exactly. And
characters and
And that's exactly
NPCs,
how we,
monsters.
yeah, kind of cross over more, right? Is because a lot of these same, bad guy characters that you see in the board game that have miniatures can also appear in the RPG. And so then it's a great fitting. And of course you have tons of like, the standard type of things like, chess and things like that. And just to note too, is the board that you see here on Arena of the Contest, that's the same sizing as standard like D&D 1 inch by 1 inch squares, right? So you could even use this board to build your own like RPG map if you wanted to.
Right. So there's quite a bit of crossover between all the products.
Yep, exactly.
Excellent. Okay. Any other suggestions you have in terms of like retailers positioning the product? Any upcoming products you want to talk about in the RPG space in particular?
Uh,
Sure. So, I mean, I guess we can kind of talk maybe a little bit about that.
Yeah, don't nothing you can't.
Yeah,
obviously.
can't
Don't
reveal too much.
spoil, but yeah, don't.
Well, I will say, just since we have you here, June 25th on GameFound, which is a crowdfunding platform. If you aren't aware, we're doing a board game called Odalin Dungeons of Doom. It's our newest dungeon crawler game that kind of has a Diablo-esque feel to it, where you're going to have heroes that are dungeon crawling, but you have, instead of like a set board like you saw in like the Arena of the Contest photo, you have tiles. So you're going to kind of match tiles, you explore around, you draw loot, which can raise your stats, and then let you use different abilities. Maybe Michael, do you want to add a couple of things?
yes, Odalin is our answer to another demographic that is more focused on immersion, while Tanares is focused on like Gloomhaven, on having a great gameplay on mechanic side. Odalin has good mechanics and has depth on mechanic side, but is focused on having a great immersion and that classic dungeon feel. That's why we are inspired on Diablo and other popular franchises on that style. Um, we will have again many miniatures, many content, and we are working to see how Tanaris will fare with retail and to bring also Odalin to it if it interests everyone else.
Yeah.
And is that Odalin in a separate universe, or is that also part of the Tanares universe?
It's another completely new universe. We are doing it to uh, avoid like overproducing things on our first setting. We decided to diversify. It's like uh, um, post-mystical apocalyptic desert fantasy, dark fantasy. So it differs. While Tanaris is a high fantasy, Odalin is more mature. The artwork is more dark. The setting and the situations are more mature and more dark.
Yeah, it's
And
a dark
it mix
fantasy setting.
yes that mix the dark fantasy and the desert fantasy settings as a one. So it's more Persian themed and it it blends that this person mythology and uh um tone where demons are have invaded the world and the heroes like are living on this post uh demonic invasion destroyed and devastated world, and that's Odalin Dungeons of Doom.
Gotcha.
Um, yeah, and one of the defining characteristics, because we are a company that really, I guess prides ourselves on, especially the miniatures that we develop, is one of the cool aspects is your hero characters can actually turn into demons. And these are some of the high quality miniatures here that we have for the demon characters. So, um, yeah, they're just absolutely amazing. They look even better in person. This is not just like a show. This is what they'll actually look like, and we even have like pre-painted options and stuff too for those people that don't have, they have their big pile of gray shame, right?
Mhm.
um So yeah, so Odalin, kind of this dark fantasy type of game. We have a lot more characters that are kind of like animal-like, right? Where you have like snake type people. Uh, you'll see down here in a second, we have some of the hero characters. This is like Marukesh. He's the sorcerer. He's one of the hero characters. He's like a tiger guy.
Mhm.
And then we have, kind of more traditional characters, and then like Tuscan here, who's like an elephant, like tank character.
Gotcha. Yeah, interesting.
Anyway, yeah, June 25th coming on GameFound.
That's
Right.
it. And we also have, by the end of the year, more RPG content that will be released. We are still working on that. This one will be another book for Tanares, but we don't have much to disclose about it yet, as we are still uh, producing content.
All right. Great. So stuff to look forward to that will continue to support the Tanares line for the RPG as people invest in the world. They want to make sure that there's additional content coming that will support them through that.
And there's
Yes,
even more content for Tanaris board game eventually too. That's further on the horizon, but it's in the plan.
yes.
All right. Excellent. Well, I know that we here at GTS are proud to have you guys as our exclusive vendor in the US. So we really appreciate your participation in that. Any last comments for our retailers before we let you go?
Well, if you guys have any questions, always feel free to reach out to me. You can reach me at james@dragorigames.com. Like I said, I am the retail manager, so I can help answer any questions, or if you need any help with something, art, other things, we're always willing to try to, help all of our customers and backers as best as we can.
Great. And I'll include that in the comments as well as on the end sheet of this video. I'll put that up there as well. So
All right, thank you.
easy to contact you.
Yeah.
Great. Anything else?
That's it.
That's it. Thank you. Thank
All
you very
right.
much, Scott.
Great. Thank you very much. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to be here.
Yeah,
And
no problem.
Michael, you as well. I know it's a different time for you, so a little later in your day, perhaps. So I
Yeah,
appreciate you.
no problem. I was up. Hey, it's just that there's so much work.
Yeah, we got a lot of work to do. So
Yeah,
Because
very exciting. So looking forward to the Tanares RPG release in July, and then the Game Found coming here in June in a couple of weeks. So we'll keep an eye on that and make sure our retail partners are also up to date on when those will be releasing for them into retail as well. So thank you guys very much. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk again soon.
all right, thank you.
thank you.
Okay. I've Thank you again for joining us on this vendor spotlight featuring Dragori Games. As discussed, Arena, the contest, is available this month from GTS Distribution, and the future products, the Tanares Ultimate Adventures, as well as the RPG product, are releasing later this year in July or August. We have an orders due date of July 11th for both of these products that are forthcoming. The RPG is available as individual books, as well as the GM screen and map, and as a complete set that features all of the products, all three books, the map, and the GM screen all in one kit. So thank you very much for signing on, for joining us on this discussion. And then if you would just hit the like and subscribe, and you'll be notified about future releases. We do have more in the works, so look forward to speaking to you again soon.